to the world, the Lord is come. Let earth receive her King. Let every heart prepare him room. And heaven and nature sing. And heaven and nature sing. And heaven and heaven and nature sing. Evening branches, come on, let's worship the Lord tonight. Oh, joy to the world, the Savior reigns. Let men their songs implode, while fields and floods, rocks, hills, and plains repeat the sounding joy, repeat the sounding joy, repeat, repeat the sounding joy. Come on, no more. No more let sin and sorrows grow. No thorns infest the ground. He comes to make his blessings flow. Far as the curse is found, far as the curse is found, far as the curse is found. Come on, sing with us. He rules. He rules the world with truth and grace, and makes the nations prove the glories of his righteousness, and wonders of his love, and the wonders of his love, and the wonders, wonders of his love. Come on, let's sing that again. He rules. And he rules the world with truth and grace, and makes the nations prove the glories of his righteousness, and wonders of his love, and the wonders of his love, and the wonders, wonders of his love. Yes, the wonders of, the wonders of, the wonders of his love. Let every heart prepare him room, and heaven and nature sing, and heaven and nature sing, and heaven and heaven and nature sing.
Hey, Merry Christmas. Yeah. Is that going to work? Merry Christmas. All right. There we go. I know Eric Frymouth was in the house. I mean, I didn't even hear him. It's awesome. Welcome to Branches, where we're building a church you can bring your friends to. And I just saw a few of my friends walk in, so that's awesome. So welcome to Branches. We are here today to celebrate the birth of our Savior, Jesus Christ. Let's hear it. So good. But first, if you're new here, welcome to the cafe. Get up anytime, get some refreshments. You know, this is Branches. Make it your own home. But we have a little prize here. And we've gone through a lot of growth here at Branches this year. There's, Michael Curl's hair isn't grown enough to be up in a bun. Josh put on a half a pound, and Timmy's in a large now, right? Nice. So I have existed on Chex Mix for the last 2 weeks. Anybody else in the house getting neighbor gifts and things like that? I have a secret ingredient in mind. If you guys could just start yelling out the ingredients that are your secret ingredients in your Chex Mix, I'll determine the winner. What do we got? Oh, that's a good one. Bacon fat. Allspice. What else? Frank's hot sauce. That's a good one. Anybody? Worcestershire sauce was what I was thinking. Okay, double or nothing though. Spell it. There you go. All right. So, just some notes. We don't have services Sunday on Christmas Day and not on the 1st, but we do have a furnace, which is worship on the 30th. And during the furnace, there's a movie night for the kids. So just put that on your calendar. That's a good time to come on down here and get connected again in the middle of the holiday season. Also, during this service, we have the overflow upstairs in the upper auditorium for those of you with kids. If they get a little unruly or unrested, you can go up there. It's the simulcast of the service up there in the upper auditorium too, with some refreshments and activities there. So other than that, we've got a great day for you here. We're going to be doing a candle lighting ceremony later, so fire safety will be important. Timmy will go over that, holding a candle up straight. But then before we get into that, there's another hot thing in this house, and that's this band. Sandon, bring me an early gift and make it funky. Let's give it back to the band. Merry Christmas.
Hark the herald angels sing, glory to the newborn King. Peace on earth and mercy mild, God and sinners reconciled. Joyful, all ye nations rise, join the triumph of the skies. With angelic hosts proclaim, Christ is born in Bethlehem. Hark the herald angels sing, glory to the newborn King. Christ by highest heaven adored, Christ the everlasting Lord, late in time, behold him come, offspring of the Virgin's womb, veiled in flesh, the God at sea, hail the incarnate deity, pleased with man as man to dwell, Jesus our Emmanuel. Hark the herald angels sing, glory to the newborn King. Of peace, hail the Son of righteousness, light and life to all he brings, risen with healing in his wings. A mild delay his glory by, born that man no more may die, born to raise the sons of earth, born to give them Prince of Peace. Hail the Son of Righteousness. Light and life to all he brings. Risen with healing in his wings. A mild he lay his glory by. Born that man no more may die. Born to raise the sons of earth. Born to give them second birth. Hark the herald angels sing. Glory to the newborn King. Hey, Merry Christmas, everyone. You're going to hear that about 20 times tonight, just a heads up. That's the kind of question I always ask myself is, when is it okay to actually say Merry Christmas? Kind of like, it's December 1st, and is that too early? And I've been saying it since October, so now it's kind of normal for me. Well, welcome. Thanks for joining us here. Welcome to Branches. If this is your first time, we just want to say thanks for hanging out with us. We have a cafe over on my right. Please just make yourself at home. Put your feet up, preferably not on your neighbor. But make yourself at home. This is your living room, your space to kind of be here and with us. And maybe if you're new to church or new to just kind of this whole atmosphere, you're looking around and people are singing songs that most of us have been singing since our childhood, or songs that we just kind of know. And I think sometimes it's really easy, come Christmas song, to just kind of almost regurgitate these Christmas carols. And to most of us, they're kind of just carols. But really, it's worship. And the things that we're singing are actually glorifying to God, and they come straight out of Scripture. And as we're saying, hark the herald angels sing, we're saying, hey, listen, that there's a King of Kings who's been born unto us. And when we look at the birth of Christ, the thing that's so important about this is the fact that he came to walk with us. But not just to walk with us, but to live a sinless life, to die a sinner's death. Jesus in the light of the world, it's the hope that we have for tomorrow, that we can be with eternity with him. And if you're here tonight and you just haven't made that decision, I'm praying that you make that decision tonight to follow after Jesus. And we're going to continue to sing one more song here tonight that I'm sure, again, most of us know, but I don't want to just sing it because it's a carol. I want us to worship the Lord our God tonight. So I'm going to invite you. You can stand, you can sit, you can kneel, but we're just going to sing one more song. Can we do that? Ye faithful, joyful, and triumphant, O come, all ye, O come ye to Bethlehem. O come and behold him, born the King of angels. Oh, come, let us adore him. Oh, come, let us adore him. Oh, come, let us adore him, Christ the Lord. sing in exaltation. Oh, sing, all ye citizens of heaven above. Come on, glory. Glory to God. Glory in the highest. Oh, come, let us adore Him. Oh, come, let us adore Him. Oh, come, let us adore Him. Christ the Lord. Christ the Lord. Come on, sing, yea, Lord, we greet. Oh, yea, Lord, we greet Thee upon this happy morning. Oh, Jesus, to Thee be all glory given. And word of the Father, now in flesh appearing. Oh, come, let us adore Him. Oh, come, let us adore Him. Oh, come, let us adore Him. Christ the Lord. Christ Oh, come, let us adore Him. Oh, come, let us adore Him. Oh, come, let us adore Him. Christ the Lord. Christ the Lord.
Good afternoon. That's a weird thing to say. It's a weird thing to say. I'm like tripped out right now. I'm like, what time is it? I'm looking up there. It's 2:40, 2:50. That's a time that I've never preached before. So there's a first for everything. Hey, if this is your first Christmas Eve service ever, it's mine too. At least from a speaking standpoint. I've never had the privilege or I don't know if it's a privilege. It's a privilege. It's a big deal. We're doing 3 of these today, which, by the way, means, we're not going to keep you here any longer. If you're kind of got dragged here and you're like, man, I don't really want to be here that much, it's going to be quick. It's going to be painless, fairly, at least. There's worse things you can be doing on your Saturday afternoon, that's for sure. We got a nice cafe spread here, hot coffee, hot tea, all that kind of good stuff. And like Luke said at any point during the service, if you or your kids are getting unruly, I'm not just going to say kids, man. If you're feeling like antsy, you go upstairs, move around a little bit. There's a simulcast going on up there as well, overflow room. It's a great opportunity if you need to do that. So help yourself to that as well. But like Josh said, Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. But what really, thank you. What, though, is the big deal about Christmas? Right, what is it? Really, there's a lot of things. It's the most wonderful time of the year, right? I love it. I talked about it last week. I just absolutely love Christmas and just the anticipation, I think, itself. I feel like, that's too bad. I feel like Christmas itself can sometimes be a letdown. The anticipation to me is almost like my favorite part. It's the building up to of Christmas that's really special to me. And my wife and I have had the unique opportunity this year of really celebrating Christmas with our kids. Because, COVID-19 has been a thing for the last couple of years and seems to keep going and going and going, like the Energizer Bunny of viruses, I guess. But last year we were overseas as well, so we missed out on kind of just like the normal Christmas festivities. And I feel like this is the first year we've really been able to just with us and our kids really experience kind of a normal Christmas. And seeing it through their eyes, to me, has been extra special. It's kind of renewed all those great warm feelings of me as a kid that kind of fade away as you become an adult, and you're like, man, the stuff that used to be cool when I was a kid isn't cool anymore. And then you get to see it through the eyes of a child all over again, and it's like you get to relive it. It's been so special. We went the other week to Lightopia in Hillsboro. You guys been there? It was good for a free thing. I wasn't super stoked about it. I'm like, the lights aren't that good. But watching my kids roam about the cabin of our car, which we let them do that because we were driving a half of a mile an hour, and just see the wonder and excitement over seeing some of their favorite characters and all that stuff displayed with lights. To them, it was just so special, and I got to watch it through their eyes. And again, Christmas kind of renewed its magic with that. And the fact that there's no school during the Christmas time, that was my favorite part as a student, getting off of school. I look forward to that every year. The breaking up of the monotony of the school year as a student was huge for me. I look forward to that so much. There was even a couple years during high school where we got it extended because of snow days. And I'm like, this will just go on forever. This is awesome. And my daughter now, who's in kindergarten, she's waking up every day and saying, Daddy, do I have school today? I'm like, no, it's Christmas break. She's like, oh, it's Christmas. I'm like, no, it's just Christmas break. She doesn't quite get it yet, but she loves the fact that she's off school doing Christmassy things day in and day out. And let's not forget about the traditions surrounding Christmas. Aren't those kind of the things that make us feel all warm and fuzzy? It's the traditions of Christmas, the traditions that if you were to tell someone else what your tradition was, they'd be like, that's okay. That's kind of cool, I guess. But traditions aren't cool because they're cool to everybody. They're cool because they're unique to us, because they're our traditions. So we remember them with fondness. One of my favorite traditions surrounding Christmas was the cutting down of our tree. We went we'd try to find the most backwoodsy Columbia County place to get our tree. So we'd have to hike out, in the elements with our own little tree saw. The only time of year you see those saws, unless you're an arborist or something like that, that's someone who tends to trees. If you didn't know, you get a little lesson tonight too. So you get one of these tree saws, and you go and you cut down the tree. You get the candy cane and the hot chocolate sometimes as well, and then you got to strap it to the top of your 12-passenger van. That was my tradition. We'd do that. We'd get it home though, and this is just when it begins, because that night we would always set it up. And we'd get inside and we'd have our one traditional meal a year that night that we got the tree. And for whatever reason, like I said, traditions don't have to be special to other people. They're special to us who experience them. We would have our fancy clam chowder candlelit dinner. My mom would make homemade clam chowder and garlic bread, and we'd take out the fine china Actually, I don't know if it was fine. I feel like those words just go along with each other. China's kind of a lost art, I feel like. I don't know if people make china anymore, but we'd have the china that was gifted down to us from grandparents, and it would always be there, and it's the one time a year you used it. Well, I did learn today that's probably because they're not dishwasher safe. No one wants to do all those dishes each night, so I get it now. But we take it out for that one time a year, and we'd have the candlelit, fancy, lights off dinner, and then we'd decorate the Christmas tree together. And at some point, the bubbly would pop. That is Martinelli's sparkling cider, you know, the drill and the wine glasses. It was special to us. Those traditions were so incredibly special to us. I mean, Christmas is a magical time. Look at this room. It's like 34 degrees and disgusting outside. And you guys came here on a Saturday afternoon at some random time to celebrate. Christmas is something. It's the most celebrated holiday in the world today. And it's all surrounding this event from about 2,000 years ago, where God sent his son into the world. And just because I love seeing things through the eyes of children, I wanted you to hear this account from the Jesus Storybook Bible. Check this out.
That same night, in amongst the other stars, suddenly a bright new star appeared. Of all the stars in the dark, vaulted heavens, this one shone clearer. It blazed in the night and made the other stars look pale beside it. God put it there when his baby son was born to be like a spotlight, shining on him, lighting up the darkness, showing people the way to him. You see, God was like a new daddy. He couldn't keep the good news to himself. He'd been waiting all these long years for this moment, and now he wanted to tell everyone. So he pulled out all the stops. He'd sent an angel to tell Mary the good news. He'd put a special star in the sky to show where his boy was. And now he was going to send a big choir of angels to sing his happy song to the world. He's here. He's come. Go and see him, my little boy. Now, where would you send your splendid choir? To a big concert hall, maybe? Or a palace, perhaps? God sent his to a little hillside outside a little town in the middle of the night. He sent all those angels to sing for a raggedy old bunch of shepherds watching their sheep outside Bethlehem. In those days, remember, people used to laugh at shepherds and say they were smelly and call them other rude names, which I can't possibly mention here. You see, people thought shepherds were nobodies, just scruffy old riffraff. But God must have thought shepherds were very important indeed, because they're the ones he chose to tell the good news to first. That night, some shepherds were out in the open fields, warming themselves by a campfire, when suddenly the sheep darted. They were frightened by something. The olive trees rustled. What was that? A wing beat? They turned around. Standing in front of them was a huge warrior of light, blazing in the darkness. "Don't be afraid of me," the bright shining man said. "I haven't come to hurt you. I've come to bring you happy news for everyone everywhere. Today, in David's town, in Bethlehem, God's son has been born. You can go and see him. He's sleeping in a manger." Behind the angel, they saw a strange, glowing cloud, except it wasn't a cloud. It was angels, troops and troops of angels, armed with light. And they were singing a beautiful song, "Glory to God be fame and honor and all of our hoorays." Then as quickly as they appeared, the angels left. The shepherds stamped out their fire, left their sheep, raced down the grassy hill through the gates of Bethlehem, down the narrow cobble streets, through a courtyard, down some steps, past an inn, round a corner, through a hedge, until at last they reached a tumble-down stable. They caught their breath. Then quietly, they tiptoed inside. They knelt on the dirt floor. They had heard about the promised child, and now he was here, heaven's son, the maker of the stars, a baby sleeping in his mother's arms. This baby would be like that bright star shining in the sky that night, a light to light up the whole world, chasing away darkness, helping people to see. And the darker the night got, the brighter the star would shine.
Now that is super cute. It's special, right? It gives us all the warm, fuzzy feelings about the baby born in a manger. But why is this such a big deal? I mean, they talk about the light in this story and how it was bringing light to a dark place, and the darker it gets, the brighter the light would shine. But did we really need that light? Did they really need that light? It kind of begs this question that I think if we're honest with ourselves, whether or not you're a church person or a Jesus person, I think we all kind of subconsciously question this from time to time, if not a lot of the time. But this question, who needs Christmas? Like, who really needs Christmas? Do we need it today? Did they need it? She needs it. That's good. Did they need it 2,000 years ago? Did the people anticipating the coming Messiah the years before that, did they need it? And I think the clue into the answer to this question, it's helpful to go back even further, to go back 400 years before the coming of Jesus to the earth. Because I think we find a time that's more similar to ours than we would like to admit or even think to know. Because we see a people that were trying to fix themselves. They were looking for an answer to this question. Who needs Christmas, or who needs the light? Who needs help? They were looking, stumbling around the darkness, looking for answers. 400 years before the coming of Jesus, the prophet Isaiah talked about this state of humanity. And he says this in Isaiah 8. Someone may say to you, let's ask the mediums and those who consult the spirits of the dead with their whisperings and mutterings. They will tell us what to do. What they're looking for here is a sign, an answer. They're trying to fix themselves. And you're like, well, we don't look to psychics, and maybe we do. People that maybe have answers here on earth to our earthly problems. We're looking to something here on earth to fix our broken state. You ever try to fix anything in the dark? I mean, it's hard. My son David actually has this thing that he does now. He's 3, and it's so cute. My daughter is brilliant. She's 6 years old. I think she's ahead of the curve on so many things. She's learning to read. She can already write so well. She can count to like over 100, and that's super special. She's 6. My son's 3.5, and he can't count to 3. But you give him a screwdriver and a hammer. Are you kidding me? This kid wants to fix things so much. And he's got really good motor skills. He's able to use his hands really well. And he wants to fix things all the time. And he's kind of adopted this saying. He'll be like, Daddy, it's okay. And it's almost always when it's not okay. But the idea is he's like, I'm going to fix it. He's looking at it, he's like, no, Daddy, I'm going to fix it. And I've seen this play out just a few times over the last few months, actually way too many, where he does something, and I walk in, and he's like, it's okay, Dad. I'm like, well, no. I know it's okay. I'm not mad at you, but you need help, right? And so the other day this happened, and this has happened on multiple occasions, but I walk by the bathroom. He's in the bathtub, and I'm like, David, you're getting a little rowdy in there. Make sure you don't splash any water outside the tub. I come back just 3-4 minutes later, and like half the floor is covered in water. And he looks up at me, startled, and he's like, it's okay, Dad. And I look down, and he's got this little tiny rag, and he's sloshing the water back and forth. And I'm looking at him like, yeah, it's okay, but you don't know how to fix it. Like what you're doing, it's working in a direction, but the direction you're working isn't actually going to fix the problem that you had. I want to look at him and be like, bless your heart, son. But it's not going to work. Look, you don't know that you need a bigger towel, or you don't know that you need to pick up the towel and go wring it out. He doesn't quite get it. He needs help, but in his own mind, he's convinced. He's like, no, I'm going to fix this problem myself. And I feel like that's such a good parallel for humanity throughout history, trying to fix our own problems. And try as we may, it's only created more and more problems. And we look to things like the people in Isaiah were doing 400 years before Jesus was born. We look to modern medicine to fix our problems. We look to technology, of course, because technology is great. And there's been so many advancements in medicine and technology. But along with that, there's only been more and more problems, and we often look to governments, we look into our culture, we look definitely to our money to kind of fix our problems here. And I'd like to ask, maybe if we're looking for the answer to our question, or we're looking to the fix for our problems, maybe in the wrong place. And one of the most brilliant minds of the 20th century, one of my favorite authors, C.S. Lewis, he wrote this incredible book called Mere Christianity. And he was an atheist turned Christian. And he said this as one of the biggest proofs as to why he became a Christian. He says this, he says, if we find ourselves with a desire that nothing on earth can satisfy, or nothing in this world can satisfy, the most probable explanation is that we were made for another world. And I just want to sit on this for a second, because what he was saying before this, he's like, look, animals and people, we all have desires in life. We have the desire to eat food. And so because of that, there's food. We have the desire for companionship, and for that, there's people. We have the desire to accomplish things, so we have building materials and hammers so we can build things. We have these desires in life, and there's always something that can satisfy that desire. And he says, hey, when it comes to the fact that when we look within ourselves and we just see imperfection and brokenness, and then we look beyond this world and we're like, what's next? Are we just finite beings, and there's something in us that says, no, we're supposed to go on forever, and we just can't reconcile that? And he says, look, if we find within ourselves a desire that nothing on earth can satisfy, then the most probable explanation is that we're meant for another world, that we're looking for the light in ourselves, in our culture, in our world. And he's like, you're looking in the wrong place. The desire is somewhere else. It has to come from somewhere else. I learned about this guy in preparation for this message who lived during the 80s and 90s, or came to prominence during the 80s and 90s. He was part of Czechoslovakia, and he was a playwright. And he became a politician in the late 90s. Actually led the nation of Czechoslovakia as it transitioned from communism to a democracy. What a unique perspective to go from one extreme to the other. And he did this, and so his perspective, I think, is one that is so unique that I would just love to hear what he would have to say about this. This guy, Václav Havel, playwright turned politician. He said this with his unique perspective, seeing the world from two opposing lenses, seeing ways that humanity has tried to fix itself through governments. They're like, this is the solution, this is the solution. And he's like, hey, I've been on both sides, guys. Let me tell you the solution. He said, pursuit of the good life will not help humanity save itself. That's hard to hear. Nor is democracy alone enough. America, are you kidding me? It's not enough. He says, in summary, turning to and seeking of God instead is needed. And the human race constantly forgets that he is not God. And we'll just stay on this for a second. He constantly forgets that he is not God, and I feel like that's speaking to me as a Christian. Right? I mean, I'm not just saying it's easy for many of us who follow Jesus in this room to be like, oh yeah, there's other people that do that. It's like, man, during our pre-service meeting before this, I was just repenting to the group. I'm like, I haven't been trusting God very well this week. I've been so stressed out about this weekend that I haven't been really trusting God. And I put my place, or I put myself in the place of God in my life as I sat there and worried about things that I can't control. And we are always going to be pushed this direction to put ourselves in the place of God in our lives. And he's like, no, it's not it. Humanity is constantly forgetting that he is not God. See, Václav Havel understood that technology, nor the state, nor the market provides the answer that the world is looking for. And he understood that science, even though it's had some great feats throughout history, awesome things that we've accomplished as humans. He says science, unguided by moral principles, he knows this, have been responsible for such tragedies and atrocities as the Holocaust. He's like, I've seen governments come and go and people with great intentions come and go and fall completely flat. And he concluded that neither technology nor politics nor government systems nor the market nor our monies nor our economies, nothing could save us. And I think if we're just really honest, on less of a macro level, we just zoom in and look within ourselves, I don't think it takes very long for us to realize that there's something wrong with us, that we're imperfect, that we're missing the mark, that we're not where we want to be or where we should be. And Isaiah continues this prophecy in Isaiah chapter 9. He says, the people walking in darkness have seen a great light. On those living in the land of deep darkness, a light has dawned. Have you ever tried to fix something in the dark? What happens? I mean, it looks great when it's dark, but then you almost certainly have to come back the next day when the light has dawned so you can actually fix it. Right, I used to paint houses, and I would get in oftentimes, and if I didn't have adequate lighting in a room, I would just go for it. How many of you guys have done that before? And then when the sun comes up the next day and it hits, and you're like, that looks a lot different than it did before. It doesn't quite work. And it's important to understand that in this verse, Isaiah is not saying that from the earth a light has come up, or that a light has sprung up from the earth. That's not what he's saying. No, make no mistake. The light could not come from within us. The light had to come from a place of perfection. It couldn't come from our technology. It couldn't come from our culture. It couldn't come from our science, our economy, or our government. It had to come from eternity. It had to come from heaven. And he goes on to say this, and this is crazy, written some 400 years before Jesus came to the earth. For a child is born to us. A son is given to us. The government will rest on his shoulders, and he will be called Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, and Prince of Peace. His government and peace will never end. He will rule with fairness and justice from the throne of his ancestor David for all eternity. Over 400 years later, the disciple John, the disciple whom Jesus loved, these guys were tight. He was the one disciple that wasn't either killed by himself. He didn't kill himself like Judas. He wasn't stoned to death. He wasn't martyred. He survived long and wrote much into late in his life. And as he wrote this incredible account of Jesus' life, as he's starting out, he wrote about that same light which was to come into the world. And we see this in John 1, verse 5, that the light shines in the darkness, and the darkness can never extinguish it. That the light shines in the darkness, and the darkness can never extinguish it. And he goes on in John 1:9, and he says this, the one who is the true light, who gives light to everything, was coming into the world. And that's what this story is all about. So this belief that we've adopted as people, this belief of who needs Christmas, when we look at ourselves and the state of humanity and our strivings throughout history to fix ourselves, and we look back to the time of the original Christmas story, we actually realize that no, we indeed did need that light, that we needed Emmanuel, that we needed God to come to us, to live with us. And nothing that we did was ever enough. But it's okay because he came and he was enough for us. So when you ask that question, well, who needs Christmas? We actually see that you do, and I do, and that we do need Christmas. We needed Jesus to come be with us. He's come to live with us so he can be our strength and our hope each day. So to the skeptic, if you're in here tonight and you're like, I don't believe in this, I'm not sure what this all means, just know that your search is over. The light has come from heaven to give us hope, to give us a future, to give us forgiveness for our sins so we can be made right with Jesus. And if you're a Christian in here tonight, this is good news for you too. Because Jesus is with you every day, and he wants you to surrender to him each and every day, to depend on him for your strength as he leads you on the path to light. You see, the light could not come from within us. But the good news about Christmas is that a light from heaven has dawned on the world.
Before I spoke a word, you were singing over me. And you have been so, so good to me. Before I took a breath, you breathed your life in me. You have been so, so kind to me. Oh, the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God. And oh, it chases me down, fights till I'm found, leaves the 99, and I couldn't earn it, and I don't deserve it. Still you gave yourself away. And oh, the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God. Yeah. When I was your foe, still your love fought for me. You have been so, so good to me. Yes, you have. When I felt no worth, you paid it all for me. You have been so, so kind to me. Oh, the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God. And oh, it chases me down, fights till I'm found, leaves the 99, and I couldn't earn it, and I don't deserve it. Still you gave yourself away. And oh, the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God. There's no shadow you won't light up, mountain you won't climb up, coming after me. There's no wall you won't kick down, lie you won't tear down, coming after me. Come on, there's no shadow. There's no shadow you won't light up, mountain you won't climb up, coming after me. There's no wall you won't kick down, lie you won't tear down. Coming after me, there's no shadow you won't. There's no shadow you won't light up, mountain you won't climb up. Coming after me. There's no wall you won't kick down, lie you won't tear down. Coming after me. There's no shadow. There's no shadow you won't light up, mountain you won't climb up. Coming after me. There's no wall you won't kick down, lie you won't tear down. Coming after me. And all the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God. Down it chases me down, fights till I'm found, leaves the 99, and I couldn't earn it, and I don't deserve it. Still, you gave yourself away. And all the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God.
God, we thank you for sending your Son to the earth for us, God, to do what we could never do. Thank you for the light from heaven that you've given to us. John 8:12 says, Jesus spoke to the people once more, and he said this, that I am the light of the world. If you follow me, you will not have to walk in darkness, because you will have the light that leads to life. And tonight, or this afternoon, we've lit these candles to represent the light that was sent to the world for us. So join me as we sing this last song.
Silent night, holy night, all is calm, all is bright, round yon virgin mother and child. Holy infant, so tender and mild, sleep in heavenly peace, sleep in heavenly peace. Oh, silent night, holy night, shepherds quake at the sight, glory stream from heaven afar, heavenly hosts sing Hey, God bless you, Branches. Have a Merry Christmas. We love you. We'll see you next year. Remember, there's no service the 1st of January. Our first week back is going to be January 8th. You can blow out your candles and be dismissed. God bless you.